what is it like? We're all very familiar with the persona of Gene Simmons, of course.
Who tuned his bass?
Hey, there you go.
I mean, I want to shake the hand that tuned Gene's bass. Oh, wait, I have already.
Yeah,
that was me. That was me. I was his bass tech.
You lucky dog.
So tell me, is there a moment where you're touring with him and you're in such close quarters? Are there a memorable moment when you're having breakfast at the hotel or you're riding in the back of a limo or something where Gene is just drops a punchline on you or something? You get something that the rest of us don't get to see because you're so close to him?
Yeah, all the time. Kind of like he is on Family Jewels, like with his family, and just like that's what we got the whole time. We always had, he was great to hang out with. It's a great to have any conversation with because he knows a little bit about everything. And I'd never been around somebody that A, wealthy, and B, that famous.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting just to see how somebody like that just reacts to certain, not even really anything bad happening, just reacts to things and how different it was from my point of view. It's like, wow, he's been incredibly famous and rich since his mid-20s.
Yeah.
And just like going, wow. But then also seeing like how incredibly humble he is and how incredibly grateful he is for his life. And the main thing I took away from the entire experience was I never heard him even close to complaining one time.
Wow.
Which was pretty big. And I don't mean like, hey, this monitor sounds like shit. That to me is not complaining. That's like, fix this.
Right.
Do your job, fix it.
Yeah.
But I mean like never, oh, my feet hurt. How long is this flight? I got to do a meet and greet now. Nothing.
Wow.
Not even extremely grateful for every person he met and that paid for a meet and greet and that bought a bass, that came to a show. Incredibly grateful for his life. He truly, truly is. And that was a thing. But there was one time that we were all riding together on somewhat of a, not the best shuttle bus from like a casino gig in Wisconsin to the airport somewhere. And we're sitting there and it's cold. This is the winter and we're cold and talking. And Gene's telling some stories that we actually hadn't heard in his book, which was cool because he would every once in a while he would like, oh, we've heard that one, but he'd eventually spill some cool stuff that was not in there. So we're listening, all talking, laughing, being guys in a band.
Yeah.
With Gene, with fucking Gene. and he's looking at us and he's like, oh man, he goes, this is just like we used to do in the station wagons. He goes, this is really cool. And Ryan leans forward and goes, can we just skip the Budokan 77, please? But it was really cool how like he just liked, it seemed like he really enjoyed being, one of the guys in the band.
Yeah.
And we would always give him his own dressing room because he always had a different, schedule, meet and greets and interviews, but never failed. If we had more places to sit down, he'd come into our place and sit down. Or if we didn't, he'd knock on the door and be like, what are you guys doing in here? I've got way more couches in here. And he'd bring us over into his room. And we were always like, always very cool about giving him his space, but he never really wanted it. He would always come hang out with us.
That's awesome. I love to hear that.
You guys gave him the respect and just out of like, just because probably. And, he's the draw and you guys know that. And
totally. It's Gene Simmons. That's totally, it's him. We insert 4 faces behind him and it's still going to be the Gene Simmons band, you know what I mean?
But the fact that he was like going, hey man, no, what do you guys, don't slum it over here. Why don't you come over here? I'll take this room. You guys, he was doing that.
Well, he was always not, we wouldn't switch room, but he would always make us come hang out with him.
You know what I mean?
Like, so he'd stay in, yeah, exactly. But he'd stay in there with us and we'd all eat together. And yeah, we were like with him. That's the main difference between the Ace gig and the Gene gig is we see Ace on stage and we saw Gene when we woke up,
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much.
So I realized
Gene had separation anxiety and Ace did not. Yeah, I'm kidding.
So I realize, of course, you're a professional, and this is the reason you get these gigs is because you know your boundaries and you stay within them, and obviously you're musically talented. But at some point with Gene Simmons, is there a moment where you slide him one of your childhood LPs and go, "Hey, man, would you sign this for me?"
Oh yeah. We were always very respectful about that, not killing him with stuff. But absolutely,
You got all
stuff. I got some cool things to sign. And Ryan would find stuff that, like, from his, middle school notebook, and like drawings he'd made of Gene or tracings and just the logo, and he'd bring it to show Gene, and it's like, oh, wow, and Gene would like, "This is yours from back then?" It's like, "Yeah, I was like 12," and he'd sign it. He was always very cool about that because he gets it. And when we were fans anyway. The three of us are friends before, because of Kiss, way before we got the gig with half the band.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say, but we were fans first and foremost, and he knew that, and we were super respectful of his stature and his time.
Yeah.
And just, we didn't want to we wouldn't want to take advantage of our position in the band, but he was very cool about signing things and meeting, close friends coming to hang out. Very cool with meeting them and meeting family members and things like that. So,
Wow.
Cool. Christopher Williams, did he play with Gene or Ace?
Actually both, because Christopher did the Australia tour where Ace opened for Gene and we were the band.
Okay.
So he did that tour, and then from Australia we went to Japan with only Ace and did 8 shows. So Christopher was on that tour too.
Wow, that's amazing. So you and Christopher both end up in Accept from coming off of these Kiss gigs, kind of, sort of.
But before that, Christopher, myself, and Jeremy Asbrock from the Ace and Gene band, we had a Kiss tribute cover band in Nashville that played once a year. We weren't like an active one that played a lot of shows. Yeah. We played once a year for charity at Christmas time, and at the Exit Inn here in Nashville, and it ran for 7 years or 8 years, something. And we'd sell the place out. And it was a toy and food drive too. And so, it was fun. And that's where we would do like 3-hour sets, and we would do everything they don't play.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
That does sound familiar.
It was the three of us. And our friend E.T. Brown was Gene. I was Paul. It was a lot of fun, and it was absolutely exhausting to do 78 era Paul Stanley for 3 hours. But I was in fantastic shape and could sing it, and I can't do it anymore. So, but it was fun. But that band got kind of weird. We did 1 year once we had the Gene gig, and then the next year we had the Ace gig too, and it felt weird. So we stopped doing it.
So Jason was talking how this sounds familiar, because I don't know if you're aware, but Jason had a cover band, a Kiss tribute band that was called Sick. And
we talked about that.
Yeah. And they also did all the songs that Kiss no longer did. So it was always really cool. We did Rip and Destroy.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And then we even sang it faster. You know how on the movies I have a sync?
Yeah.
It's like rip and destroy.
Yeah,
We sang it like that. So we were like super nerdy about everything.
That's awesome. So it sounds to me then like the Ace gig was sort of almost like a seamless handoff, that you kind of, what did Ace say? Just say, "Hey, I need some backup guys." And Gene says, "Well, I'm done with this band for now. You can take these guys."
I think it kind of went like that because it was in Australia when things started happening, because only reason we did the Australia tour was for logistics, was because it made sense to not fly Ace's band out there and do hotels and everything. We already played with Ace and Gene at an event where Ace played like 4 or 5 songs with us as a Gene band. So he knew that Gene's band could sing and play well and knew all the material. So I think Ace asked Gene if it was okay. Then Gene asked us, and goes, "Do you guys mind doing this?" We're like, no, whatever, work everything out. And we'll do both. We know the songs. And so that was how it started, was just logistics. And then the Japan thing was like, well, we're already on that side of the globe. So we're going to do Japan too. And then that'll be it. But go back to the regular band. And then we started doing it. And then Ace started liking the harmony aspect and liking just how we sounded and played as a band and liked how he sounded with us. And then he asked us to do the Kiss Cruise. And that was the year we were getting off of this tour and almost immediately going on the Kiss Cruise. And Ace was on the cruise that year. And so we were going to be his cruise band. And then that turned into a run of shows in Florida after the cruise. And then it was like, okay, if you guys want the gig, it's yours.
Wow.
Because that's when the end of the road tour was kicking off. So Gene was going to be busy for, X number of years.
Right. You were playing bass in Ace's band, is that right?
Yeah, I volunteered because it was 4 guitar players.
Yeah, right.
I was like, okay. I was like, I'll do it. I'll totally do it. And I'm really glad I did. I have a ball playing bass.